The Bear and the Bee. Everyone knows that bears love honey. One day, Mr. Bear looks in his cupboard, but he can't find any honey. "Oh no, no honey!" he exclaims. So he heads off into the forest to find some. He spots a beehive in a tree and catches the scent of honey. Honey! He dips his paw into the beehive and, zizz, a bee flies out. "Oi, Bear, clear off," says the bee. "This isn't your honey." Mr. Bear is cross. "I'm bigger than you," he retorts, "and I'm stronger than you too. I can do whatever I like. Now, buzz off." Mr. Bear tries again and sticks his paw into the beehive. Zazz! Zing! Ow! The bee stings him right on the nose. My nose! My nose! Ooh! I'm furious, growls Mr. Bear. He finds a large stick and tries to hit the bee. He swings and swings, but the bee is too quick. Mr. Bear becomes more and more enraged. "Grrr! I'll smash you! Come here!" The bee flies back into the beehive. "Aha! Now you're trapped!" shouts Mr. Bear. He swings his stick at the beehive. Smash! 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 He smashes it to pieces. Then he hears a strange sound. It grows louder and louder. Zizz! Zizz! Zee! 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 Zizz! Zee! Zizz! 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 Thousands of bees pour out of the shattered beehive. They swarm around Mr. Bear's head. Zizz! 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 Yes! Ganbow! Ois. Dun they wa 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 a wa ma way. Si iske we a skis. A by a it's the a Onis they They sting him on his ear. Zing, zing! They sting him on his elbow. They chase Mr. Bear through the forest, stinging him on his arms, his legs, his hands, and especially on his nose. Zingy, zingy, zingy! Mr. Bear runs all the way home and slams the door shut. Bam! Then he hears a voice behind him. It's Mrs. Bear. "You've done it again, haven't you?" she says. "You lost your temper." "Yes," he says, crying and counting his bee stings. "Here's the medicine for your bee stings," says Mrs. Bear. "Also, we've got honey in the cupboard. It's behind the flower." Morale: a bad temper always lands you in trouble.